So many hot topics to cover today here at Move with Mully. And mortgage rates dipping down towards 6% and below.
Mm-hmm.
How that affects the vibes economy. We are in a vibes recession, Parsons.
Yeah,
Vibes recession.
I can feel it amongst friends and even myself.
Yes. So we're going to talk about the vibes recession, and that directly relates to our starter economy is broken.
Yes.
And the starter economy being first-time home buyers, household formations, all the things that get an economy going from the bottom up, is broken. So we're going to dive into this today. I think some agents have been a little like belly aching about it. Like, oh, there's so much misinformation and everybody thinks they know everything because they're talking to AI. Yeah, sure, that's one side, but it's a huge opportunity because I'm hearing more and more as a real estate agent. I'm hearing people come to me saying, hey, I heard this, I read this, AI told me that. What do you think? It's almost spurring them to come to me more.
Right.
And ask more questions. So I'm like, hey, bring on the information age, dude, because it almost elevates, if you've positioned yourself as an expert in your market, it gives you more opportunities that people are going to come to you and be like, hey, how do I make sense of this? There's so much information.
And do you think that's a part of it? I guess what I'm asking is, like, with there being so much information and so many ways to consume it, do you think that is the driving factor to these conversations, to having more of them?
I love that question because buried in there is the secret sauce for us real estate professionals and agents, I think, for the next few years is like the polls are all coming back. Like people are trusting information less and less, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a recession of trust.
Right.
Because they're being flooded with so much information from so many different sources. Hey, you, the professional that they actually know and have a relationship with, you are now becoming more valuable. Because you can dissect it and say, hey guys, here's what's actually going on. I just wrote an offer this week with a client. Here's what happened.
Yes.
Hey, I just listed a house. Here's what happened. Like they're looking for that real world boots on the ground intel.
Right. Definitely. So, I mean, speaking about rates, so if it's being forecasted that rates are going to drop over the next year, 18 months. What are these like driving factors that are doing that? Is it hyper specific to our market or of course the country as a whole? But
yeah, it's pretty macro. I think probably the biggest driver, at least in the headlines right this second, is the new Fed chair. Right. And you said you read something about what he was thinking about where he'd like to see Fed rate.
Yes. Allegedly, he would like to reduce Fed rate by a whole 1% by the end of the year.
Okay.
So that would create a dramatic shift.
For sure. And hey, we're all in the real estate industry. We know that mortgage industry usually prices these things in ahead of time. So maybe maybe that's part of this little dip towards 6% is that mortgage lenders and underwriting companies are saying, ooh, this is coming. Let's get out ahead of it. I usually see a dip if there's something good coming.
Right.
So it's also counterintuitive because once the news breaks, ooh, Fed drop rate, and then mortgage rates don't move, or they even go up a little bit, is because the mortgage industry already priced this in.
Right.
So shifting gears over to the vibes recession, I love the word vibes. It's like maybe one of my favorite words right now because like everything is vibes. Your life is vibes. The way that you experience the world is based on vibes. And we're in a vibes recession. That's not good, right? That's like, oh no, what happened to the good vibes, right?
No, man.
The record stopped.
I got caught in that too. I mean, I spiraled because I was watching too many negative things, and it's prevalent everywhere. YouTube, social media. I mean, I've at this point tried to just like abstain from all of it. So like you saying, oh yeah, get on social media and do the recordings kind of kills me.
Yep.
But I've also just decided probably not my thing. But yeah, I mean, overall vibes, I've had that conversation with friends who just bought and now they're concerned. They've gone down this death spiral of thinking that they just did the worst possible thing they could have.
Yep.
And I mean, just trying to like reason with them. I'm not trying to change their minds, but just give them a little bit more of a reason to not think that.
Yeah. The vibes recession by definition is that the economy actually moves like real hard economic data and buying decisions moves based on invisible forces, not economic data, not like invisible vibes on sentiment. How are people feeling about buying or selling or moving or making life decisions? And the vibes economy has gotten, I mean, it's the most heightened that it's ever been, which in some ways is good. People are like checking in, gut check. They're no longer just following the American dream of go to college, work hard, get a house, start a family. Like people are questioning lifestyle now, which is cool. I like that from like people are having fun lives, but it also leaves them open to being like really susceptible to reading a bad headline, watching a YouTube video, hearing somebody's opinion that buying a home right now is a terrible idea. Or, hey, selling your home to move up to the next bigger home is a terrible idea. There's just the vibes are tough. And then, if you get on any platform and you hear about wars and politics and economy, like it ain't easy to have good vibes.
No, but I am curious on what your thoughts are for generational vibes. Do you find that there's a huge difference in the different generations and vibes?
I think so. We work with a lot of clients that are, say, 50 years and older.
Yeah.
Some that are even 70 years and older. Their take on vibes is so much different because they've come and gone through, they've lived through a lot of different phases. They've lived through wars. They've lived through different political phases and economies. So I don't know if it's wisdom. I'd call it wisdom. They're just like, hey, the winds shift and they pass. And what is foundational is your career, your family. And for most people, it's your house or your real estate plans. But what we're feeling as real estate agents and professionals is that like literally our clientele are not transacting because the vibes are bad. They can't point to anything else. They're not like, well, rates came down. I still don't want to buy. Well, I got a job promotion. I got a raise. I still don't want to buy. Or like, hey, we're scrunched in our small house. We have 3 kids. Maybe another one's on the way. We need the bigger house, but I don't know. The vibes are pretty bad. We can stick it out. So it's actually impacting the families we serve, therefore impacting our business. And I think that's where real estate professionals are trying to get a handle on the vibes economy, being like, I feel like I'm just swimming upstream or, fighting uphill here because on paper, this is the right time to buy. Like we just came out of the best time to buy in the last 15 years, right? 2022 through 2026 was a buyer's market.
100%.
Like it was the first time it was a buyer's market since the Great Recession.
Right.
Yet people were not ready to jump in because the vibes were not good.
Well, it's kind of like you can almost liken it to a stock rally where it continues to go down. So more and more people pull out of that stock or they're not going to buy into it.
Yep.
And you see it with crypto as well. But then all of a sudden it starts to go up. And then that's when everyone starts to jump into it. And then it becomes this hyper competitive, not great situation for a buyer, great for a seller.
Yep.
And then they're kicking themselves in the ass because they didn't do the thing 2 years ago when no one else was.
Yep. You nailed it. I mean, that people that know stocks and that whole market know how fickle it can be based on vibes. I think now it's just spilling into something that for generations was just the bedrock steady industry, which was real estate. It was so smart to own real estate, get your first home, maybe get some investment property. That's all changed. Now, younger generations are not so sure that that's the right next step is to buy real estate. And so that trickle through the economy, which we'll get to in a second, which is the starter economy, right? Our starting households and our starting first-time home buyers are in a completely different mindset than any other generation before, right? And that's impacting us real estate professionals. So we have options. We can whine about it. We've all probably done it.
It's easy.
Because it's a little bit like, if you're a good entrepreneur, you're a good business person, you're good at solving problems. And this is a problem that's harder to solve. It is. Like the vibes is a very like abstract, you can't really talk someone into, especially like we know that fear and confusion are the strongest emotions, right? And if somebody is scared or confused, They're not making a decision. And so it's not our job as salespeople to like, all right, how do we make them forget about their fear for a second and make sure they buy a house? No, it's not that. It is kind of like we just talked about. Can you position yourself as the real estate professional who is giving good information consistently, but also authentically? Like, you're not sugarcoating it. You're not just saying things to make people buy or sell. You're putting out good, consistent content that's speaking to the headlines that they're actually reading.
Mm-hmm.
Right. That's why I like the green screen, on Instagram, like throw up the headline that's bad vibes. Let's talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Spend 90 seconds and talk about it and what you're actually seeing in the marketplace. Because that's like when clients do finally come to us and they're ready to sell or buy and they're like, man, I don't know, but the vibes, this, that. And we talk them through, hey, here's what's actually going on in the market. Here's what buyers are winning. Here's where sellers are winning. I just experienced this last week. Like, it just calms them down. They're like, okay. And we're like, hey, totally normal to be scared by all the headlines and content that's out there. Here's what's actually happening in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
They take a breath.
Right.
Okay. We can make a plan around that.
Yep.
And they can move forward with their life. But if you never get into that conversation, which, by the way, people are more likely to watch your video or watch your content or read your newsletter than they are to actually call you and be like, Chris, I'm really worried about the vibes, right? They're either scared to make that call or just it's back burner. Like, someday I know I need to talk to Chris.
Subconscious is just like, yeah, we're not going to worry about that.
So you need to meet them where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
That's why content is so powerful right now. And we can meet them where they're at, sitting on their couch at 9 p.m., scrolling Zillow, scrolling bad vibe headlines. But then, there's Chris talking about the headline that I was just thinking of. Okay, what's he talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. That's what's actually going on in northern Colorado. Oh, and then at the end of the video, he's like, hey, reach out. We usually talk to people 12 months before they ever make a move just to make sure they know their numbers. Reach out for the free call. Love to hear from you.
Right.
Okay, now the door's cracked open. So like, okay, I know somebody. I know they're out in the market, boots on the ground. They're speaking something different than the headline's telling me. And I'd like to make a move. So like their subconscious is starting to come out of its shell, not as scared anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for the bad vibes, I definitely see it in different generations. It surfaces differently. But for younger generation, the first-time home buyers, that is where it is by far the most prevalent. And it's keeping them on the fence or just completely forgetting about the idea entirely. Like, oh, it's not meant for me. I'm never going to do this.
For sure.
That's what you're seeing?
Well, yeah. And honestly, their parents, let's say the first time, like if we talk about the starter economy, which, when we let off this episode, the starter economy is broken, meaning the first time buyer share of the market is at a record low and by quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So it's multiple things. The younger generations are not getting into home ownership. And it seems as if their parents are not really bridging that gap, because that's usually if the younger person is, I'm a little scared about this. Is this really right? That's a lot of money. The parents usually help calm that and say, hey, best thing we ever did was buy our first house.
Mm-hmm.
It can be kind of scary. The parents kind of help coach. And that, by the way, the buyers that are winning, the younger buyers that are winning often have parent involved, whether it's a parent kicking in on the down payment or co-signing on the loan or just being an advisor. The ones that maybe don't have as much of that coaching relationship with somebody in their life, they have to take it upon themselves, and it's harder to do.
100%.
So if you're hearing this, you could be in that first-time buyer category. You could be in the potentially parent mentor role, or you're the real estate advisor who knows that you not only need to message to the first-time buyer, you need to message to their parents and the older people in their life.
Mm-hmm.
Because the older people in their life are like, well, I don't know. What do you mean? Just buy the house. Well, sure. They bought their first house at $150,000. Like, they don't have the same frame of reference, but they can at least help tell the story of like, guys, best thing we did was buy our first home, then built equity. Then that went into the next home. Like, it's still, that part of the American dream is still possible, building the equity.
Mm-hmm.
So here's some stats. first-time buyer share collapsed to 21% so if you take the whole pie of all transactions, only 21% of those last year were first-time buyers. That's down from 32% just 3 years ago.
Wow.
That's a big drop.
And that's like post-COVID rates too. I mean,
Yeah. So the household median income that's needed to buy a home right now is $97,000. So just again, real estate agents, as you're thinking about your database of people, just know that their household has to be bringing in basically $100,000 minimum to even sniff.
I'm assuming that's assuming no real debts, car payments, college loans, kids.
Exactly. So before we get too caught up in just being like, come on, guys, like watch my videos and get into the market.
Get over it.
They're dealing with some real stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you might be like a reasonably successful middle-class family making 120,000 combined. But yeah, you've got some college loans, some student loans left. You got maybe young kids. You got car loans, like credit cards. It ain't easy, right? So meet them where they're at, or there is an option to shift your marketing and your clientele avatar to more of the second and third time home buyer, the 50 years old and older, the silver tsunami senior. Like you could try to put your business more in the direction of folks who have money, who have equity. But, first time buyers are going to need help too.
100%. I mean, it's a good niche.
It is a good niche if you know where to meet them where they're at.
Right.
What's also interesting is median first-time home buyer age is now 38 years old.
That is crazy. That is, I mean, I don't think you're 38 yet, but that's old.
Some days I think I'm 38. I literally do. I'll ask my wife, like, I'm 30. She's like, you're 37. Like, okay. Because this is the time that it starts to get a little cloudy. I forget. Like, okay. So I'm 37. And it is true. We're selling a lot of our friends' homes, a lot of them even first-time homes. The people under 35 or certainly under like 32 that are getting into first-time buying are almost always collaborating with their parents or with family.
I just helped 3 friends.
Yeah.
Sell or buy a house, their first house. And it's exactly that. And I'm 33. They are 33, 34.
Yeah.
I bought my first house when I was 23. And I thought I was insane doing that. I had no idea what I was doing. But I look back 10 years ago and it was like, that was the greatest thing I ever could have done. And I keep telling friends that.
Yep.
But they're finally starting to get, I guess, in a position of life that it's making sense to them to do it.
So is this a cyclical issue that, is the 28-year-old first-time home buyer just a thing of the past and it's never coming back?
I mean, you brought up parental support. I think it has a lot to do with that. Who's coaching them? How involved is that parent? What's the parent's financial outlook? How much can they help?
Yeah. I hate to even speak it into words, but we're just talking facts because I don't want it to be like the haves and have-nots. But it's unfortunately, yes, it's like those that can maybe help their kid get into the first house versus those that aren't in a position to help their kid get into their first house. That's going to start to become a dividing line a little bit. So I think that's where, like, again, agents and real estate professionals go to your people and talk to the whole family unit. Like, put out content that's not just speaking to the first-time buyer, but also to the, hey, you might have a family member who's a first-time buyer and you're wondering what are ways you could help them. Like, hey, well, guess what? 1 out of 3 first-time buyers right now are getting some assistance from parents. Like if you start putting out content, you start talking to people and normalizing that, hey, this is what's going on. This is what's helping the next wave of first-time buyers is family getting involved. They might be like, oh, okay, that's a good idea. Like, it's interesting how I've told a lot of clients who have kids going to college, like, hey, one of the smartest things parents ever do is buy a home in a college town where their kid's going to school. Get friends to be roommates, right? And the friends are paying the mortgage down. and your kid gets to experience like, being a little bit of like an on-site property manager. Like those kids are usually building up some good experience. Um, so I want to shift over to co-buying because we actually just did this.
Yeah, right in Denver, right?
Yes. Co-buying is becoming, and I think will become a growing trend.
So tell me what co-buying is.
Co-buying is essentially not just like, oh, somebody co-signed on your loan so you could get into a home. It's actually co-ownership where you're going into a property purchase with either friends or family or in an LLC or what have you. We had a personal experience where it was like we wanted to buy in a neighborhood that is, a fun little charming neighborhood, but even the little fixer-upper bungalows are starting at $900,000. So how do you go buy a 1-point-something million property? In today's world? Co-buying. It's like, okay, 1.2 million divided in half is 600,000. That's about the median home price here in Colorado. There's the only way we could have bought. We weren't even going to consider buying if it wasn't co-buying because to be where we wanted to be, we couldn't afford it. We didn't want to spend that. So I think there's a real opportunity there for agents to market properties as co-buying, co-living opportunities. Cities are already getting on board with more density friendly, laws to say, hey, like you can make another unit downstairs. You could build an ADU unit in the backyard. Like,
right.
This is going to become, I think, not just a growing cool trend, but a necessary trend.
It's an interesting point that you bring up because only a couple of years ago, it was all about multi-generational homes, but it's really the same idea, just framed differently. So if you just take that perspective from it of instead of only marketing this as multi-generational, have your mom and dad move in, it's, hey, your friends can live here and you can all still live separate lives. I'm assuming you're not sharing a kitchen.
No.
Right. No bathroom sharing.
No bathtub parties.
Okay. Well, that's a bummer.
There will be a hot tub, though.
Okay.
There will be a hot tub.
That's a good compromise.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think that's a little bit the old school, which, by the way, a lot of people are doing too, is the mom or dad moves in, grandma lives in the mother-in-law suite or something. That's a huge, we'll talk about next episode, which is the silver tsunami, right? The aging population. Co-buying is going to be a huge opportunity.
A lot of money being transferred.
No doubt. So agents, listen up. Like you need to be talking about co-buying, where those opportunities exist, what properties can be made into a co-living situation. And you're right. It's like, it's making it more cool. It's like now in vogue to be like living amongst, in more density. Like, oh, it's a 3-unit house in a really cool location, bikeable to all the coffee shops and restaurants. That's cool. Like, it's no secret that people like living in Brooklyn and Manhattan and they're willing to pay those prices for little flats,
right?
Because they want to be in the cool spot, right? So I think that's just permeating through the rest of the country where it's like, it doesn't have to be downtown New York City to get the same cool, like, oh, we all want to be in this really cool area. We'd rather live in less square footage, but be in a great location and be able to afford it better with friends.
Yeah.
It's just win-win-win.
Right.
Like, man, when we bought this property in the co-living situation, we're selling our other property, which is 2 acres and a 2,600 square foot house.
Shift, man.
It's such a shift. And literally the mortgage underwriters needed an explanation letter from us saying, why are you selling that?
Right.
And buying and moving into 1,200 square feet with your friends living upstairs.
They
literally thought we were like trying to pull like they're just going to use this as an investment property and they're trying to get a primary resident loan on it. And it's like, so we had to write the letter of like, we really value coffee shops and restaurants and parks and going to, music shows. And this is the only way we can get into the neighborhood we want. We want to live with our friends.
You value the vibes.
The vibes, man. It was a vibes decision. So we are going to see a shift from suburban life, I think, towards some more of this, take me where the cool vibes are. Because that's also true for the younger generations, is it not?
Well, I was going to say the irony here, though, is that we saw a lot of, I guess, millennials and Gen Z move out of the city because now they can work from home. They don't need to be right there to work. And you're saying kind of the opposite. Now we're circling back to moving back into the city, but just being smarter about what we're actually looking for.
I think, because I got friends who did that exact same thing. They moved out of the city, one where they could afford real estate. So they bought the first house. Now they've been out of the city. COVID's a thing of the past. It's been a few years. Everybody wants to come back to the city.
Yeah.
Right?
Suburbia, it's for some people, but it's not the most fun.
Yeah. And we're even seeing, I have friends who are raising little ones and deciding, no, we want to be in the vibes. We want to stroller the kid down to the live music at the park and, go to the game or go to the show. So we'll see. Let's keep a pulse on that one because I think the cool city, even cities like medium cities like Fort Collins, Boulder, it doesn't have to be a big metro for people to want to be bikeable, walkable, to cool stuff. That is the thing. So either the cool things need to follow them to suburbia, and there need to be cool little zones in suburbia, which you're starting to see, where they'll build little shopping districts.
Like a 7-minute city or something like that.
7-minute city. Love that topic. We should hit on. But yes, either the vibes need to come to you in the suburbs, or you got to get back towards the vibes. So, hope it was helpful. Hit us up if you want any tips about how this fits into your real estate business, because everything that's happening in the world affects you as a real estate professional, and how you message to the people in your database through your content, through your media, is going to determine how you do over the next multiple years. Because the world is changing. The way we do real estate is changing. So you could be the absolute best agent on the contracts and know the market front to back, but if you're not messaging, it's not getting to anybody.
Don't be a secret agent, right?
Don't be a secret agent, and let people know that you're aware of where they're at. Right? When your messaging speaks to where they're at and you say, hey, I know you've probably been scared about buying your first house, or I know it's been scary with all the AI talk, whether you should move up to that bigger house. Well, here's some data and here's some real things that happen in the market that are just good to know. So they at least will know that, hey, Chris sees me. That's all. That's all you want your content to do is hey,
that's a great point.
They see where I'm at, and they're giving me some relevant information. So I'm at least a little more armed to make a decision, not just doom scrolling and being like, oh shit, spiral, never buying, never selling. Done.
Yeah. Like Chris said, if you ever just need to even talk it out, man, I think locking arms with realtors and other industry professionals is so important right now, because those bad vibes can leak. They leak everywhere.
Yep. That's why we are building a community, at eXp Northern Colorado, and the crew, our organization. We're just locking arms with like-minded agents that want to level up, be real entrepreneurs, up their messaging, up their marketing, their brand, so that we're positioned as the authentic, local, trustworthy agent in the market.
Yep. And it's way more fun that way.
It's so much more fun.
You don't have to wear a suit and tie. Well, you can.
See you next time.
See you next time.